This video was made to accompany my Aurora Mountain Pines embroidery pattern. This is everything that you'll need to make it, and the pattern is available in my Etsy shop. This hoop is made with a dark fabric, so it's a little bit harder to transfer sometimes, so I opted for using my iPad, and I turned up the brightness all the way, kind of had a darker room, and then I'm using a white gel pen to transfer the design. And so I just try to keep it straight and pretty straightforward. It is flipped under so that the fabric is close to the screen. And then when I'm done tracing, I'll flip the fabric up to the top of the hoop. Now that I'm done transferring the design, I added my second layer of fabric underneath the hoop, and I'm putting it back up on top like I mentioned before. You got to make sure that hoop is centered and extra tight and taut so it's easy to stitch and not snag the fabric or anything. So as you can see, I kind of messed up in the middle with the different lines. So I'm just going back in and correcting it. And I'm also just gonna draw over the whole thing again so that the lines are extra clear to me. And if you want to add any guidelines at this point, you could do that as well. Or you could just add them as you're stitching. So that's what I'm doing here. Starting with the sky, all of the sky will be stitched with 3 strands. So that means that you'll need to split the embroidery floss in half because there's 6 strands in embroidery floss. And I'm just going to be using straight stitches for the sky. Straight stitch is exactly what it sounds like. It's just going from point A to point B. And these are going to be like diagonal straight stitches. As you can see, I am holding the hoop sideways in the direction that I want the stitches to go. The points, like the different loops at the top of each color, kind of indicate the direction that you want to go. And you can also look closer at the picture in the pattern. Sorry, I made a knot, I guess. But I'm just stitching kind of staggered stitches in that direction. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's supposed to kind of look like the sky is moving. So, and the lengths don't have to be perfect either. You can see here I'm probably doing about 1/2 inch for my length. You could do it a little bit longer or shorter, vary them. And I don't do any of the stitches right next to each other because I think that makes it a little bit easier for the fabric to bunch up. I like spreading them out a little bit, and then I'll go in and fill in the areas that are blank still. So now that I've finished that color, I'm going to make some stitches in the surrounding areas to just do some blending. It'll help in the long run. So now you can see I've already pretty much finished the second color, kind of skipped ahead, and I'm going on to the third. I'm not stitching at all into the mountains down below. So when I do the extra stitches, I'm only doing them in the surrounding sky colors. And I'm going to add more stitches later on. You don't have to stress about there being blank areas because that will be filled in later, and it'll actually help the blending process. Okay, so this is the sky pretty much filled in, and you can leave it like this and it looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go in and start blending out the colors. So I like to do this mostly when it's filled in, but as you saw earlier, I did some just like random ones, but this is gonna give it a lot of movement and it makes it look like it's just blending, you know, going up in that forward direction. And I'm especially going to focus on the, you know, more bold colors. As you can see, these blues are very similar, these three blues. So I'm gonna focus on these lighter colors down here going up, and then a little bit of the dark colors coming down. And same here, I'm gonna have some of this pink coming down because these two pinks are similar. And yep, that'll be what I do. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done, but just kind of spread them out. This is, you know, up to your judgment. It's not all going to look the same. I can't, you know, on the pattern make the marks to make it look like this. So it's what you want it to be. Already I'm liking it. We'll just dip over here too. Do a little bit into the pink to blend between the blue and the pink as well. Gotta blend a little between the colors. And
This also helps in, like, you can see you can see a little bit of the fabric in between there, so let's cover up all the fabric, you know? And you can do some that are like smaller stitches if you want, like that smaller than that one. They don't have to be all the same size. You could do an extra long one. Yep. Okay. You can kind of see where that's going, and I'm gonna show you what the end result looks like.
So now we're on to the mountains. The mountains are a lot easier than the sky. All you're going to be doing is using one color with straight stitches, and this time is not all going to go in one direction. You're just kind of going to follow the shape of the mountain, so it doesn't have to be super strict. You can see here I go kind of diagonal, and I do the same thing as before where I stagger the stitches and fill it in. And you know, mountains are jaggedy, so it doesn't have to be so uniform. I like the stitches to kind of look different. It adds to that rocky texture. But if you're really struggling and don't know which direction to go, I did an approximate guideline in the pattern, so you can always refer to that. Now we're on to the back row of the trees. So I like to stitch the tops of the trees first, and that means that we start with some vertical straight stitches. I just start a little bit below the tree top, and then I'm gonna bring it up and stitch down. This helps to make the treetop look extra pointy, because it kind of gets covered up a little bit when you do the mountains, and it gives it a little bit of length too, I guess, or height. So once I've done those vertical stitches in one area, I'm going to start doing horizontal stitches. They don't have to be perfectly horizontal, but you're gonna kind of want to give the illusion of branches. So I stagger them. At the very top, you won't be able to stagger them very much. It's just kind of straightforward where you need to stitch. But as you get into that more open area underneath, it's good to just stagger the stitches. It makes it look like messy tree branches. So very similar to the previous two steps of the sky and the mountain. We're just making it a little bit more horizontal. Now onto the front row of trees. It's going to be very similar to the back row of trees, just a little more of a process to it, or more like organized. Once again, I'm going to start with the tree tops, but instead of just doing the tops, I'm going to stitch all the way down to make basically the tree trunks. If you have a hard time doing a straight line, then you can always draw yourself a guideline at this point. But I'm just doing multiple straight stitches all the way down. I guess it's kind of a back stitch, but it doesn't have to be a back stitch. And here is the finished hoop. I just closed up the back with a running stitch. Sorry I didn't film it, but you can look at my other videos. Let me know if you have any questions, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks.